Saw dudes. Welcome back. Welcome fucking back. Another day, another dollar. It's supposed to be green back there as well. Let's adjust this. Ah, yes. The light is supposed to be green. The camera's not really picking it up very well. That's unfortunate. The whole A vibe, you know, the meme. Fuck. Anyway. Welcome back, everybody. To another episode of Jim Russell's stream. Here we are again. Once again. Without Mr. Galen TV. He'll be back next week. For people watching these VODs, mostly right now at least, thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to watch these. And for those of you who have not followed me who are watching these, please consider giving me a follow, because I'm at 268. I've been trying to get to 1,000. Slowly getting there, you know, climbing up. If I break 300, I'm gonna be excited. Actually, that's gonna be my new milestone. Maybe I should move it down from 1,000 to fucking 300. Realistic expectations, right? Drinking a nice wine here tonight, enjoying myself. I don't fucking know what day of the week it is. I've already lost count. It doesn't matter though, because time is an illusion. Yeah, this evening, Wikipedia censoring ufology. How dare they? The Bible and aliens. Popular topic right now. Conscription in Sweden. World War III. Uh-oh. Trouble. Trudeau in trouble. Trouble with Trudeau. Trudeau in trouble. Emergency Act declared illegal, or at least the initiating of it. Spicy topics. We'll be going over it all tonight. And more. As you can see here in a moment from my tabs that I've opened. Quite a few. Probably too many. Once again, I have no idea where this will go, but hey, fuck it, live free, hang free, hanging all out. Fuck it. Let's go to some more relaxing music that isn't ads. Oh my god, man, these fucking YouTube has slowly inserted more and more and more ads. Like they're just creeping in. It's like they just can't make enough money. Can no one ever be content? You know, it's just like constantly more and more and more, and it just drives me fucking nuts, man. All right, we'll tone this down. We'll turn this down. Typically don't stream on Tuesdays. I thought I'd come on. I didn't stream on Sunday. I got way too fucking high. I'll be honest with everybody. Occasionally that happens. Anyway, so this evening, just hanging out, you know. Pow World. Oh yeah, sorry. DM Lee Creek League. Digi. Welcome everyone. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Don't know if I was sold on it or not. I guess I'll have to get feedback. DM Leak, you're doing all the reviews on your Twitch stream of it. I was watching those. Interesting. The world of AI. I've been using, so I think you'd like this one, Digi, another one. An alien affirmationist. I've been using ChatGPT quite extensively through the day. The new ChatGPT 4, they've integrated like searching like with Bing and stuff, and also the photography thing where you can take pictures of stuff on your iPhones or whatever device you're using. Oh, this is one you made? Oh shit, I didn't even know that. Oh, that's funny. Very nice. Very nice. Fuck yeah, we'll have to try it out here in a little bit. But I mean, it's fucking crazy. I don't know, it's really actually insane, really. I've been getting it to like read documents from like pictures and stuff, interpret them. I'm beginning to do research and then looking at papers, and it's getting out of control. ChatGPT, I feel like honestly we're going to have just a complete breakdown psychologically when ChatGPT 5 gets released, I think, because I mean, for me personally, as someone who's had an interest in, you know, reading through academic papers and doing like kind of quasi, academic research. Not sponsored by any fucking academy, but its ability to interpret stuff so instantaneously, and just they've really honed its ability to kind of search for things and pick stuff up. Like it's nuts. And I've been using, there's an add-on that someone did that specialized. I still need to sign into, I have the subscription to ArcFix or whatever. You can get a free one, which is a collection of papers. It's like kind of like a science journal a little bit, but there's a couple of other disciplines scattered in there. And it's been fucking, it's nuts. Like, it's nuts how quickly you can interpret stuff. Like, I could feed it a fucking paper, like a 20-page long paper on, let's say, Planet 9, right? And it'll interpret all the mathematical data and provide just unbelievable analogies. And it's fucking crazy. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, Sponge during last stream. I use AI at work regularly. It's a big help, man. Legit though. Like, I can imagine in some industries like how it would just be fucking crazy. Like, yeah. We had links to support the alien hypothesis. Maybe it'd be a good way to start this off. Prove to me aliens are real. Has been a topic of debate and investigation for decades. With direct incontrovertible evidence of alien life remains elusive to the public domain. Numerous incidents and accounts suggest the possibility of their existence. There we are. It's going through all the. Here, this is awesome, man. Fuck yeah! It's these little branches are really interesting as well. Like the Roswell you linked as well. Did you like going through like the history of Roswell and stuff? Like, it kind of cool. A little bit honestly emotional because I'm. What got me into the whole alien thing was Roswell, but it was Stanton Friedman covering Roswell and his research into that whole incident. And there's a really good clip. We'd watch this on stream from, I believe it was Edgar Mitchell, who was an astronaut. He'd actually grown up in New Mexico around Roswell on a ranch there. And growing up as a kid, he had heard stories from local ranchers about what happened. And in the town, it was common knowledge that this advanced spacecraft crashed. Two of them actually. And it's cool to see people kind of, I don't know, just taking that old data, all that research that Stanton did, and kind of amalgamating into this search engine. It's really cool. It helps solidify for those of us who've been trying to digest all this information for so long, that there's truth to this, and it's just so validating. Validating. It's so validating. Too much wine. So validating. And as this goes forward, I mean, just having this kind of objective perspective that none of this was objectively crazy. There was clearly something here. It's just good to hear, honestly, which is strange because I've heard that. Obviously, you kind of corroborate that with other people who are, just vastly intellectually superior to yourself, like Stanton, who looked at this and looked at it honestly, and came to the same conclusions. But yeah, this is just so interesting. And Rabbit, welcome as well. Yeah. Yeah, we'll try. Yeah, as for something earlier, it split something from 1600 date when I tested it. What's the earliest record of UFOs? That'd be kind of cool. It's the earliest record of UFOs. So it's gonna go search through the internet. Yeah. Recorded sightings of unidentified flying phenomena, which might suggest extraterrestrial ancient cave paintings. Wow. For instance, a 10,000-year-old painting in Chhattisgarh, India, depicts what some interpret as figures in spacesuits and disc-like objects. Ancient Egyptian texts. In the annals of ancient Egypt, there are records, fiery discs floating in the sky dating back to the reign of Thutmose III. Wow, 1450 BC. Roman chronicles. In 218 BC, Roman historian Livy recorded a number of strange phenomena in Roman sky, including lights and ships in the heavens, flying shields. The Nuremberg celestial phenomena, we've gone over that many times, and the Basel phenomenon, similar to the Nuremberg incident, the people of Basel, Switzerland, witnessed celestial phenomena, including numerous spheres and discs appearing in the sky. This event was also documented in a local broadsheet. Crazy, man. That's insane. It'll just be able to pull all that up instantly. Oh, so interesting. It's the innate ability of 4 to interpret images as well. I mean, it helps in like researching, then looking at the actual image, I'm sure, and then actually like corroborating and be like, oh yeah, there is actually something depicted here. It's mind blowing. It's truly mind blowing. I think we've underestimated too, really, some of the truths this might dig up. I mean, full transparency, I was using it and having a conversation with it more recently. In beach bikini image creation. I was fucking around with what famous people are going to fucking what it would make in compromising fucking images. I was Sumerian history versus Sitchin. What else was I doing here? It very strict protocols, I might add. You can't fuck around with it too much in DALL. So DALL-E's incorporated into it. So that is that caught my attention. But they're very restricted. Like you can't do Joe Biden in a bikini, FYI. But I was getting it to interpret some images I've always found very interesting. And some of the responses I was getting back were very interesting. In regards to like, does this actually look like a comet? Is this a computer glitch? And the conclusion it came to was absolutely not, which is very interesting. Stuff of that nature. So take that for what you will. And I know this isn't like a perfect, this isn't completely objective, obviously. I mean, we're not dealing with another complete intelligence here. This isn't AGI yet, but it's still very interesting to have it interpret these images and, come to similar conclusions. It's weird. It's almost a bit of a confirmation bias a little bit. Really, like you can kind of get into that territory. So I'll read what you're saying here, Digi. Yeah. Spawning right away with doing searches point is it has internet access, so it can find links. But yeah, nuts. If you ever played a text-based mud game, you can train GPT to give you that kind of experience too. Interesting. To generate pictures of each of the reference situations surrounding being bossy. No. We should try this. That's a really good idea though. Generate pictures of each of these reference accounts. Creating image. Here we are. Is there a cap to this through DALL-E though? I wonder. Typically DALL-E will put you on a cap. I think that did all of them at once. Oh no, it's doing them. Okay. I don't think the account in India was quite that blatant, but it's imagining it, I guess, right? Oh yeah, ChatGPT before you will time out if you do too many prompts. Yeah, and consecutively. Yeah. That's Ancient astronauts, yeah. That's very interesting. The second one, the Egyptian one, again, like not that blatant, but still. Yeah. No, that Nuremberg one is sick. Oh, that's brilliant. Now those are birds. So I don't know what the fuck, but the tetrahedron in the middle, that's extremely awesome. Wow. Yeah. Oh wow. That's cool, man. Oh. And then this other one here in Basel, Switzerland, yeah. Here are artistic representations of reference historical UFO accounts. Close, not quite there, but very, again, like the art is so brilliant. Like many of us are still from this time where to make anything like that would cost you so much money. I remember back in the day, like having a band and going and finding artists to do like artwork for the band. And like, you're looking at like, man, fucking probably minimum $100 to get like some stuff done. Like, and like, it's just flawlessly generating this beautiful art, like, and unique as well, really. So, buddy, I was bowling under the fucking couch. He'll be fine. Yeah. Oh, it's just nuts, man. It's just this is so cool. I really dig the Nuremberg one a lot. Like, that's really, really cool. You get the sun there. It got some of the bits and pieces. The birds, the bird things are like fucking kind of trippy, but it got the city correct, right? Yeah, Krieg Lake. I don't know. Oh, that's not. You can still, but you still have your own unique style. The problem is once you start making your unique style, people can train their AI on your style, and then they can just start making your own art. The same thing's going to happen to musicians too. So I can, not far behind. Yeah. That's a good one, Digi. I'll try that right now. Yeah. Probably with 3 more. Oh man, like we could get lost. I could get lost in this all fucking night, all day. I've been getting lost in this, let me tell you. Having conversations with it, I was like, okay, hold on. I can probably show some of the conversations I was having with it. I was like, holy fuck. And the other crazy thing too is the speech, which I could probably try in here where you can talk to it. I don't know if that's only a feature with the iPhone or not. But still using the birds and stuff. Interesting. I asked for 3 though. I'll be saucy. I asked for 3. Yes. How demanding can we be with this before it pushes back? Yeah. God damn it. I know that's exactly it. I'm paying fucking whatever. Was it $25 a month or something? Canadian. Fucking that's $100 a month probably, honestly. If we were to factor in there we go. That's a similar one. A little bit different. Kind of similar. Yeah. 28 or whatever. Oh yeah. That's a World of Warcraft subscription, guys. I could be losing myself in some poorly put together fantasy game now. Come on now. Oh, that one's pretty good. They're still using birds though. Let me see. Hold on. Why are you depicting birds in the image? Make it more technological, please. It'll figure out what I said. Yeah. Yeah. No birds, more UFOs. Yeah. We'll see what it fucking says. Creating image. Let's see how crazy this gets. Whoa, Jesus Christ. Here is a revised artistic representation of the Nuremberg celestial phenomena of 1561, focusing on a more technologically advanced depiction. Interesting. It's funny because the UFOs are still of like a style back then. Like it looks like a dreidel almost. Like very, very interesting. But they got the guys and the horses and shit. Like fighting them, raising his fist to the air. Can you hold on? Can you recreate this in a more violent scene? See them fighting each other. But it's probably to give me some fucking TOS bullshit. Oh no, it didn't. Can you find any patterns of misbehavior that could allude to this fact prior to the vow? Jesus Christ. Oh my god. I'll just copy and paste that to him. The alien affirmist. Oh shit! Oh my god, man! What the fuck? Okay, you got dead bodies piled up everywhere. Okay, this is a trippy one here. Oh my shit! Yeah, there's spaceships flying down. It's a fucking apocalypse and bodies piled everywhere. That's so cool, though. It still trips me out. It has the ability to do this. Instantaneously create these scenes in this art style. I could have never thought like that it would have ever done this. Like, it's just beyond comprehension. Can I speak to it though? I don't know if I can. No. How do I? It's weird. On the iPhone you can do this. You can speak with a mic, but is it okay? That's annoying. It would have been really cool to do because it has actually some really good voices programmed into it that are kind of similar. They're almost like 11 Labs level voices. I was talking to it today and getting it to do research. The Sumerian history versus Sitchin is what I was talking to it while I was driving. I was getting it to like do research and stuff and talk back to me, and it was really cool actually. It was, you can't like really have a conversation with it because it's going to spit back shit to you and then etc. But yeah. On hot generative transformers work, the actual tech behind what's doing this? No, it's probably okay. I actually have not. No, phones have the chips built in to do voice recognition, so it takes the lift out of the browser. Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's tech baked into the actual hardware in the phones. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, oh, that's your gas. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I know. I've had it working here on. There was a Skyrim mod that at the beginning of this, probably like 5 months ago, they started doing it. And they started. Sorry, you could combine these AI with these voice generation, and you could have conversations with the actual character. Yeah, it's very cool. Like we could get it to simulate right now. Actually, this would be a trippy thing to do. This is not necessarily in the vein of like aliens and shit, but can I make a new chat? Can you pretend to be a fantasy medieval innkeeper for me? Of course, traveler, to the hearthfire and a cozy refuge in this medieval realm. I'm the innkeeper, ready to ensure your stay is comfortable. Can you generate an image of yourself, sir? Oh, here he is. Oh, God, man. Yeah. Oh, God. There's another streamer I watched that covers AI stuff, and he did chatters, made a whole AI voice of him that did song covers. Holy fuck, man. That's so trippy. Like, oh, God. This is him here. This is an image of myself as a medieval fantasy innkeeper. I hope it captures the essence of the Hearthfire Inn and the warm welcome I strive to provide to all who enter. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Send me on an epic quest. And show me the dagger I will receive. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Receive... if I can spell, as a reward for... and it'd be cool if I could talk with it, though, right? Completing it. Like, you could literally... DM Leak was doing this with his D&D thing, which was so trippy, man. Just, like, going on a quest digitally. An epic quest indeed. Listen closely, brave traveler. Your quest is to venture into the mysterious Whispering Woods, where legends speak of an ancient stone circle known as the Eldritch Rings. Within these rings, under the light of a full moon, grows a rare star flower, a bloom of unparalleled beauty and power. Your task is to retrieve this flower, but beware, for the woods are filled with strange creatures and twisting paths. Let me generate an image of this fabled dagger for you. Upon successful return, I shall bestow upon you a magnificent reward, the Dagger of Luminous Shadows. This is no ordinary blade. It is said to have been forged in the fires of a fallen star. Its hilt adorned with sapphires and moonstones, and its blade is sharp as the edge of night. It possesses an ethereal light and is rumored to have the power to cut through darkness itself. Oh my God. Oh, fuck, dude. Like, fuck. Yeah. Behave as a dungeon master. Guide me through a fantasy adventure starting with character. Oh, yeah, that is exactly, yes. That's what DM Leak was doing. Yeah, is exactly it. I wonder how crazy. Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. I'll just see here. Here was a dungeon master. Welcome to the world of fantasy and adventure. Your dungeon master will guide you through an epic journey. Let's begin with character creation, race, class. Oh, man. Fuck. It's just gonna like generate me an image of this fantasy world you have created for me. Man, well, but soon, no. Like, if you're able to tie this, there's some other add-ons that allows it to code and stuff. Like, it'll just start this is what me and DM Leak were philosophizing about like 2 years ago at the advent of this. Was the future of gaming is you'll sit down and just ask for a game and it'll just make it infinitely. That's it. Oh man. Oh my God. Like, look at this. This is where the adventure is going to begin. Look at the heroes in the bottom here. Look how flawlessly they've created them, actually. Right? They get swords and stuff. She's got arrows in her quiver there. Like, it's fucking... it's fucking insane. Anyway, I'm gonna go on to some news here, but this is extremely interesting. Oh, it's it's beyond, man, Rabbit. It's like there's once 5 comes out, 5 is supposedly going to come out soon. I think this year. I know Sam Altman was saying 5 is going to be an exponential jump and is going to absolutely melt people's minds. So, yeah, that's the thing. Well, maybe sooner. If this exponentially keeps increasing, then like it's gonna surprise. It's gonna catch us out of nowhere. It's gonna be one day. Let's say we're waiting for a new game. Like me and some of the guys love Monster Hunter. It's gonna just catch us one day. And then we're not going to need these developers to the degree we needed them before. It's just one day. They're going to release one of these things, and it's just going to upend everything. I mean, it's already upending a lot of shit. It's already upending the need to some degree for a lot of like teachers in post-secondary, because it's if you're using it properly, such an amazing tutor, right? It's an unbelievable tutor, unlike any person, right? It's just if you're using it properly. But yeah, use mouse clicks to behave like an actual human. Oh man, that's fucking. That's absolutely insane. It's gonna do everything for us. But anyway, to more depressing things. On to more depressing news. For the people watching this VOD, I hope you enjoyed that. But on to the actual shit. Yeah. Well, listen. Maybe it'll help us in trying to like optimize crop yields and shit. So we can like have these little gardens that just are completely efficient. And maybe listen, if we can get close to AGI, maybe it'll start to like, give us ideas. It's this objectivity that we're not used to, that it may be able to solve problems for us that we were all oblivious to, right? And it might be able to help us just live a much more carefree, automized life. I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. Like, I know what's going to happen here, though. Justin Trudeau's use of the Emergency Act to quell protests has been ruled unconstitutional by a federal court in Canada. So go fuck yourself, Justin, for doing that. And now, what will come of this? Nothing, probably. But, maybe there will be some pushback. I think at the very least, this guy has lost any hope in hell of winning the next election. There's going to be far too much pushback against him. So my only concern is that things fly to the other end and Pierre is like some kind of agent for the CCP. Pierre Poilievre is the opposition leader for the Conservatives here. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe this will spiral into something more interesting, and it's hard to say. I'm gonna try and organize all of these posts. Oh my god, I get so much stuff up here. Holy Christ! Yeah, we had to push back. How do we go about this? This is the thing, man. I mean, just meme on Twitter, I guess. Did you just spam, like, comments, retweet stuff every single day? Tweet at Justin, tell him that he needs to go home. He needs to pack up his stuff, go back to his wife that left him because he's such a cuck. Fuck yeah. He just loaded all the likes and spam. There's a lot of this stuff, yeah. I've read through most of the stuff. Except for some of the links you've linked here. That didn't mean to have been linked in there. Oops. But yeah, moving on. This is another post. I'd seen Alex post. So, breaking: U.S. Supreme Court openly endorses collapse on the U.S. border. Orders Texas to submit to illegal alien invasion. Now, again, this is an Alex Jones post. I don't know. I didn't want to go over this. Share this video. Okay, anyway. So what they did was they're allowing them to remove the barbed wire off the top of the fences. I'm assuming what was happening is that people, probably kids, women, and children, were scaling the fences and were being completely maimed and caught up in the barbed wire. Is this a ploy by the globalists to try and flood more people into the United States? I don't know. Maybe you can make that argument. Or is it a humanitarian thing where if the people on the ground wanted to stop seeing kids and women and even just people in general caught up and mangled in barbed wire? It's the whole border. This is immigration like this is very difficult. Obviously, it's not black and white as much as people like to think it is. I mean, for people on the front lines here, there was a recent article that fucking made my blood boil. And the response, I unfollowed Michael Berra, who was an Ancient Aliens guy. I'd followed for a long time from a comment that he made. But there was a woman and her children who tried to cross a river, one of the border crossings in the U.S., and she got halfway and she started drowning, her and her kids. And the border security were ordered to stand down and not cross and help her. And they watched her and her children drown in the river. And, you know, you start to get into, well, objectively, is there this like overarching conspiracy to try and flood people into the States? There's still people. And the comment Michael Berra made was, oh, so what? Illegal alien drowns. I'm like, you motherfucker. No, woman and her children drowned, right? Who were from God knows where, shitty situation, didn't grow up, you know, I don't throw in this fucking word lightly, but privileged as we are here. And they were desperate. And just imagine if that was your mother and your fucking, you know, brother or sister, Mike. Like, fuck, that pissed me off. And, you know, there's a balance here, obviously. And I know Alex's narrative, and I'm not arguing against it necessarily, that there's a real threat in the world trying to undermine the West. And it's pretty obvious now. But at the same time, tread lightly, right? Because we can very quickly become something that we despise if we're not careful. And if we lack compassion. And that is a good example of what happens, where he completely, in that comment, dehumanized those people who were innocent. And it was horrific, and they absolutely should have went and saved them and pulled them out of the water. That kid could have been the next fucking Einstein, both of them. And it's going to make me emotional trying to fucking even think about that. So anyway, dark shit, honestly. What's this other thing here? Oh, this is, oh God. COVID shit. This would be horribly embarrassing for China if Fauci and co were not enthusiastic and pleasant. I was going to go over another article I posted, but I'm probably not going to. But it was very well written. It's a guy. He's a virologist. Anyway, you can find it in the Discord there. Just going into all the nuance involved with this. And I know Twitch hasn't said anything. Not that I have a big enough following really to create any kind of a problem for them, but Twitch hasn't said anything about this yet. I know for bigger streamers talking about this, they've had issues in the past in challenging established narratives, but you know, another very unsettling just perspective I wish I had back a couple of years ago from somebody highly accredited who knew the ins and outs and saw how obvious kind of the bullshit was that wasn't communicated to the general public. You know, but you live and you learn, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, to make matters worse, the virus that leaked from the lab was a product of U.S.-funded bioweapons research, gain of function. Yeah, anyway. Yes. So, very interesting. I don't want to jump around too much, so I'm going to find some of the other posts here. We're going to kind of UFO talk here a little bit. Let me just organize this quickly. Here, this will be good. Oh, this was funny. I should probably just play this. Hold on. That's an entire arena of people chanting that at the UFC that took place in Toronto, I think last week. The reason they were saying that was one of the fighters, Sean Strickland, is this very brash, you know, controversial guy, kind of says whatever's on his mind. And he had an altercation a little bit, like verbally, with a Canadian journalist who kind of pushed back against some of the things he'd said, some of his perspectives, I guess. And a lot of people didn't like it. And that was the reaction. Yeah, but it's MMA fans. Yeah, I was an MMA fan to be completely transparent. So I'm not necessarily anymore. But you know, it's here's Joe reacting to it.
Fuck Trudeau.
I was at the UFC
yelling "Fuck Trudeau."
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
That guy's
Canada,
a piece of shit.
Canada, get your shit together. Come back. Come back to what you used to be.
Oof. Man, oh man. Oh, fuck. What are we doing now? What are we doing up here with this guy? This guy is done. Like, the fact this guy has not stepped down at this point in time, really, is just very concerning, honestly. I mean, if you're that delusional or coerced, maybe he's been blackmailed, right? Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe he would love to step down, but he's been installed as a puppet. Wouldn't really surprise me. And we can name names maybe on who could have potentially installed him as said puppet and who's blackmailing him. This is a good picture. We're jumping around here a little bit now. There's too many tabs open. This is how we do it. This is... so this is Susan Gao, and this is Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. So we're back to UFOs here for a second. This is not the actual photo. This is an AI-generated image, but brilliantly so, I would say, where they have donned Sean here as this sub in this dominatrix play, this BDSM play here, which I'm not particularly familiar with. I think that's the dynamic, sub and dom, right? But she's doming him. You can see the guy's face in the background got badly maimed by the AI. But anyway, ball gag in his mouth. Yeah, fuck, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with this world either, but I know the basics, I guess. This is by far your best work. Uplifting tweets. My mind goes straight to this. I thought this was kind of funny. Obviously, these two have been accused of kind of manipulating and deceiving the public, honestly, on this topic. I think, especially for Sean, who was the head of Arrow, he was probably just ignorant to a lot of the background, a lot of the anecdotal stuff that's been collected over the years in ufology. I mean, this is the thing, though. I mean, and I think people in the hard sciences probably understand this, but he's a physicist and he's acquainted with dealing with like quality data, high quality data. They're not going to really value anecdotal accounts, eyewitness testimony. It's just not the kind of data they rely on. And when approaching a subject like ufology, I would say probably he's kind of out of his discipline a little bit there. I think probably some disciplines that would be more acquainted with interpreting that phenomena would be like folklorists, probably humanities, psychology, philosophy. That would definitely be people to turn that over to. Until we get any physical evidence. He was unable to find any physical evidence, but then his clearance probably wasn't high enough to reach said physical evidence. And if it's actually sitting outside of the government, technically in these private like aerospace companies, then there's no way for him to really get a hold of any of that stuff and ascertain what the fuck is going on. So you got Dommy Mommy. Yeah. Very interesting. I thought it was kind of a meme now. I think Finn had posted that. That was fucking funny. So this is tying in a little bit to, let's see here. Oh god, we're like literally all over the place. Let's pull this back here for just a second, maybe. I'll cover that in a second. Let's go back a little bit here. Stay on the fucking UFO topic. One thing that I thought was kind of interesting was this post here by Anna Paulina Luna. I know Hendrix had shared this, but she's been sharing all this biblical shit in regards to UFOs recently.
In the Bible, the angel Michael is one of the most prominent and powerful angels. His name means who is like God, and he is often depicted as a warrior or defender of God's people. Michael is first mentioned in the book of Daniel, where he is described as one of the chief princes and the protector of Israel. He is also mentioned in the book of Jude, where he is said to have disputed with the devil over the body of Moses. In the book of Revelation, Michael is described as the leader of the angels in the battle against Satan and his followers. He is portrayed as a warrior, wearing armor and wielding a sword. In Christian tradition, Michael is often depicted as a powerful defender of the faith. He is the patron saint of soldiers, and his feast day is celebrated on September 29. The story of Michael reminds us that there are powerful forces at work in the world, both good and evil. It teaches us that we can take comfort in knowing that there are angels and spiritual beings who are fighting on our behalf, and that we should always strive to do what is right and just, even in the face of adversity. This is the end of this video. Drop an amen if you agree. You may want to save this video for later and pass it to your friends who need it. God bless.
Yeah, fuck, I don't know. Uplifting message, I guess. Yeah, I'm a bit adverse to some. I mean, overall, I understand probably what they're trying to get at here, which is like, aim for like the greater good, like aim for like try and be a moral, virtuous person. There's a lot of virtue signaling with stuff like this, which sometimes I can have a problem with, I guess. And what it's rooted in, my interest in this topic, I don't know. It's people who look at this stuff like a bit of a fantasy. I sometimes have a problem with it. If you're looking at this, like these stories as like analogies and metaphors, and like you're looking at them for their metaphorical worth, and anyway, whatever. I don't know what she was getting at with this, and some people interpreted that maybe this was to do potentially with like the whole aliens are demons, and or like the called metaphysical bend to ufology, maybe, as Anna is involved in the disclosure movement. This could have very well just been some kind of a message from her. I mean, these people in Congress, probably her voter base, are deeply Christian, and this is a great way occasionally to virtue signal to them that you're a Christian person, and that, oh my God, yes, she believes in Christ, she believes in the power of the Bible, the Word of God. And people here and outside of maybe some of these very more fundamentalist type states in the U.S. May be unaware, like, again, of how fundamental some of these places are within the United States. Like, they're deeply Christian, like they're in fucking deep. So this kind of rhetoric is one way possibly for her campaign to kind of still have a relevance with that voter base. So there's maybe many different reasons why they're posting things like this. It may have nothing to do with ufology. I mean, implying here, though, that there's some kind of war going on between good and evil, though, and to aspire to be good, right? As you've got angels on your side if you are, and, don't necessarily disagree with that. Jordan Peterson has a lot of good quotes and memes on some of these social media sites lately, is why you should aspire to be a moral, virtuous person. You don't necessarily need to subscribe to kind of fantasy. Archangels plus Galactic Federation are our light forces. Oh, Christ. Who's this guy? Sharing my message telepathically received by my mother, Judith, from play. Oh, this fucking guy. This guy. I've seen this guy in multiple places. The first friendship known in creation was Elder Ikai and the powerful Archangel Michael. They traveled together and observed the vastness of the ethers of nothingness and traversed. Oh, he's doing the fucking AI art now. Nothingness and traversed great areas that would be labeled by mankind as galaxies. The vastness of creation became their playground as worlds formed with explosions of beauty. They got these fuckboys on here, like AI fuckboys. Fuck yeah, this is a 7-minute one. Family of Tegea.
You're listening to the Those in the higher realms had their beginning moment without bodies as they met in the...
Oh man, he's just using like poorly fucking generated fucking AI voices here narrating this shit. Oh Christ Jesus. Anyway, you get it all. This is like the woo that like I tap out on usually. Source. Anyway, this is the other post that she made. Where is it here? Do not make peace with evil, destroy it. Oh my, you got an angel fighting a demon here. Are things always that black and white, I guess? Maybe they are. In some instances, maybe they should be. Otherwise, you might hesitate, and in that hesitation, you may fall, prey to the demon, right? Your enemy may win. Do not make peace. I mean, this is a person, too, that was in the military. I think she served. Yeah, she's a veteran. So, again, people on the battlefield aren't really blessed right? With the fucking privilege to sit and think excessively about these things. It's much more simpler kind of game there. It's like, you're bad, I'm good, I'm going to kill you. And like, you could argue philosophically all day around whether are you actually good or are they actually bad, but if you hesitate for a moment, you're dead. So this is kind of their philosophy, right? That warrior kind of mindset. It's how you cope with it too, right? It's how you sleep at night. Was that fucking kid that I shot with that fucking gun, right, was bad. He was the enemy, right? Otherwise, you might just never sleep. So anyway, yeah, interesting. Actually, I retweeted it from someone who tagged me. She stole this straight from 4chan. Oh shit, it's not a good place to steal stuff from. Who probably got that shit from 4chan, lol. Well, I don't think this doesn't seem like a 4chan meme to me. This seems like a pretty fucking, area from somewhere else. Anyway, interesting. Is it implying some great battle of good and evil going on, right? With the aliens that she may be acquainted with now, the whole meme. Maybe. I don't get that vibe. What else has she posted? Yeah. It's probably her team too. White rhinos. Yeah. Etc. Etc. Interesting. Anyway, thought I'd pull that up. Thought it was kind of fucking interesting. Let's see. Let's fuck that. Let's go to this for a second here. Okay. So this is the headline here. Wikipedia censoring ufology. So this is definitely worth covering. This is the Good Trouble Show with Matt Ford. This guy, Rob Heatherly, joins us as he exposes a secret cabal of debunker Wikipedia editors run by a non-profit 501 targeting Wikipedia pages on UFOs with a written statement by Lou Elizondo. I've been following this play out on Twitter, actually, and watching Rob's interaction with some more prominent members kind of in the UFO community on Twitter, one of whom is Mick West. Some accusations sent that way from these like debunker types that they've been engaging in these, these edits on Wikipedia. So we'll just kind of get into it here a little bit. I'll have to go to the YouTube link. I thought I'd cover this. This is important, though, because for a couple reasons. I'm not necessarily of this bend, but there's some people who suspect, and I'm sure there actually are people who may be on the payroll of either the government or some of these, I was going to say subsidiaries, it's not correct, but these programs maybe, who want this stuff kind of still debunked in the general public. They want this conversation killed because they don't want people digging any further into the truth here. And so potentially we've got agents literally being paid to kind of discredit and debunk any evidence that comes out instantaneously to kind of stifle public conversation on this. And I think that's something we should be genuinely concerned with, because I think probably that is occurring. Whether Mick West himself is engaged in doing that, I'd be highly suspect of, just because he's well-funded. He made a lot of money. He was a game developer. Stephen Greenstreet, somebody who I wouldn't be surprised is being paid to fucking do this bullshit, but he's doing a much more poor job of it than Mick. So anyway, Mick was name dropped, so I thought I would pull this up here. This is another thing too I noticed. PhDs removed from people's names on ATIP DIRDS on Wikipedia. So you can see here that these are people who's Eric Davis actually is one of them. Hal Putoff is another. Kit Green. These are kind of names that may be familiar to some people who've been following this. These are papers to do with stuff that might pertain to, UFO-like stuff. And they're having their PhDs scrubbed out of their names on the publications. Which, for a lot of people, again, those three little letters beside your fucking name usually let people know that you probably know what you're talking about, although not always. And so having those letters scrubbed out would, definitely affect maybe people's perception of like, oh, well, is this person actually accredited? Is this worth my time looking into? And, it's hard to say. There's definitely a war on for people's attention. We shouldn't be ignorant to that. That should be obvious to a lot of people. The media, definitely. But not just the media. There are lots. I bring this up about Alex Jones as well, that some other content creators out there are definitely have a war on for your attention. And at times I question maybe what their intentions are. But personally at least. But there definitely is a war on for attention. This is definitely these slight things, and this is something that I've become more acquainted with as time's gone on. They do make a difference, though, in getting people to kind of take this seriously, especially accredited people within like universities and stuff, because they're going to look for the top of the top. They're going to look for people like this. Your Eric Davis, your Hal Putoffs, your Kit Greens. They're going to look for these kinds of people when getting into this topic to see if it should be anything they should take seriously. And this definitely will maybe turn them away. And it's the opposite effect that we want to have here. So very little sly moves to kind of take the wind out of the sails of this, which is what's so problematic about this shit. So anyway, with that said, I thought I'd pull this video up and kind of just go over it a little bit. It's a little bit long. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. But I thought I would kind of just highlight some of Rob's research. I've been following Rob's research here on Twitter again. So yeah. Let's pull it up. Let's get into this here.
Targets of this group, the Guerrilla Skeptics.
Because these are private groups or secret groups, you can't join them. I
Nice
have
ad.
to allow you, and I have admins that will allow you to join the group. But we check you out because we don't want to allow, somebody in who's,
How's that hat staying on her fucking head?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's where we spend a lot of our time. But we've worked on pages on UFOs and spontaneous human combustion and all kinds of different topics that are pseudoscience or misinformation. Wikipedia is the single most important tool in the skeptical toolbox that we have. But we keep track of all the Wikipedia pages that we have made a massive a rewrite to or have written. And we are now at 1,230 pages, and we keep track of how many page views those 1,230 pages have, and we're at 51 million page views, over 51 million page views. Homeopathy, we've changed that page drastically. The lead, the very, very first couple sentences of the page, which most people is the only thing they read, we've used the word quackery. I mean, that's so awesome.
Oh, Christ.
I am so proud of these people and the other 100. I have 113 people, and I'm always looking to recruit and require more.
How in the world do people still support this woman? We even have on here her conviction, her legal
Hold
conviction.
on,
Here,
hold
click
on. Let's just take a look here. What the fuck did they do? Has made public predictions. Scientific skeptic James Randi says her accuracy rate has been no better than educated guessing. James Randi was a fucking magician. Scientific skeptic. Okay. James Randi had a lot of fucking issues himself. Using him as a reference point sometimes to debunk woo stuff is not very good. That Bill Clinton was falsely accused in the Lewinsky scandal proved incorrect. That hiding in caves of Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein was found in a spider hole in the ground. The death of bin Laden later revealed by the Central Intelligence Agency and by his Tennessee loving killing to be incorrect. Okay, so these are her predictions. So again, this is interesting. I've watched the fucking video here. This is just literally the beginning of it. But for instance, the death of bin Laden has been it's been a topic of fucking great suspicion if that actually occurred or not. There's been tons of very accredited people have cast doubt on that. So again, making these definitive statements, we can get into this into a second here about this and about the scientific method and what the scientific method actually is. Of all of these things are rooted in philosophy, of course, is inductive reasoning, and some of the problems with inductive reasoning and some of the holes you can have with this kind of reasoning, and how they're making ultimately you're making these generalizations, and then they're trying to sell that out as like that this is absolutely the case, and this has been proven to 100% be the case. They're taking the words of the CIA, for Christ's sake, in regards to this. Like, oh God, there's just my brain's overloaded here. Let's just watch this. Fuck, it's just frustrating.
On here, her conviction, her legal conviction. Here, if you click on for a gold investment scheme. Yeah, we have it so you can actually go and see where she's a convicted felon. So when people say she's a convicted felon, we're like, go to Wikipedia. There it is.
In the last week, those 500 pages have created, in the last week, 215,742 page views. In the last month, 1,563,493 page views. And in the whole time that these page views have existed, these pages we've written, the GSOW project has written those 500 pages, and those page views are now at 19,063,934 page views. So if you want to be part of the solution...
This story.
What solution? Oh, here we got an ad for fucking the Bob Lazar documentary.
Wow. That's all I can say. All right, joining us today is Mr. Rob Heatherly. Let's see here. Rob, how are you today?
It's fine. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So you and I have been speaking for quite some time about this, and what you've provided in terms of the stuff that I've seen just absolutely floored me. We've always, I think most people that track this subject have recognized that there is a clear coordination amongst the debunker community. You've seen this, for instance, right before when David Grush came out, and right before the hearing, all that sort of stuff. Just magically, articles show up. All of this stuff that indicates a clear coordination between these debunkers. And you even, what I've noticed as well, you also see this on Twitter, where if you will go and look at some of the brand new people that are debunking a lot of what's going on. For instance, if you look at Mark von Rennenkamp's feed, you will see some people on there that if you go, they're clear debunkers, if you go and you look on their timeline, their Twitter timeline, it's literally only a year old. It's all about UFOs. I always knew there was some kind of clear concerted effort to try and drive the narrative, but what you've uncovered is frankly, it's damning, it's obscene, and it should upset everyone. And the people that are targeted in all of this by manipulating their Wikipedia pages, removing accolades, things like that, if I were them, I would be talking to their legal counsel, because I'm no lawyer, but this sure seems like a cut and dry case for libel, and it's absolutely just not acceptable. So the first thing I want to bring up is that we are not going to link these Wikipedia editor accounts to specific debunkers. Obviously, we don't want to say the wrong thing and get into legal problems, and also
he's already
label a possible.
I think Rob has already done this on Twitter, where he's already linked Mick West to one of these accounts and accused him of being one of these people doing this. I mean, if that's the case, it's extremely irreprehensible that they would fucking do that. It's what they're trying to do is undermine the phenomena by going in and, making accredited people who've been associated with it look less credible. And so people take them less seriously and walk away from it. Like, that is it's just fucking
debunker as person X when it turns out they may not be. We'll leave that to whoever, legal counsel, whatever is going to end up pursuing this. So just want to be very transparent about that. But what we are going to do is demonstrate with your evidence, Rob, the extent of what is going on, and it is substantial. I mean, absolutely substantial. And also, too, the reason we're doing this, and just talking to our audience here, We put this show together very, very quickly. So there was a lot of evidence we weren't able to sort of call through. We'll try to be as speedy as we can. The show is going to be a little bit longer than what we normally do because we want to illustrate just the sheer number, and this is really only going to be scratching the surface, the sheer number of Wikipedia pages that have been targeted.
Let's hear from Rob here.
Top here that is in UFO debunk and zoom here. This is
when I got invited into the UFO topic to see if I could help figure out what's going on with that, and if there's any evidence that we could find, that's not secondary but
is it Iron Man on the land
primary. I came into it about 3 years ago, and I've been following it very closely and working with a lot of people. And when David Grush went public this summer, there was a lot of new people infused into the UFO Twitter arena, and I noticed that there was a repetition of the negative talking points with a lot of new people that had never been there before. And I recognized that they have to be getting their cliff notes somewhere to be speaking with that much magnitude and repetition. So, I followed Wikipedia when I was doing queries on David Grush online, and was following the Wikipedia page from its inception on him when it came up, and it was highly dynamic and it kept changing. But what I noticed, there's some pretty negative edits, like including in a psychiatric issue, and that was made prominent. And I went to the talk page, and there were people trying to put in well-sourced, reliable news outlets to cite any positive attributes of him. And I noticed that they kept getting pulled back out. So I started following the edits. And that's what drew me down this trail, is that I found that there was a group of about 6 to 8 dedicated editors, some of them with admin privileges, that were controlling literally this page. And then I started looking at other people's pages like Lou's, Ross Coldheart's, and it just kept snowballing from there, that they have control of these pages. And the way they get control is by majority rules on every page. They call it a democracy, but it's not, because an unsuspecting editor comes in, like what's happened in the last few days with less publicity, try to make a good faith edit with a well-sourced article or something, it gets pulled out. They'll put it right back in, and 3 times, then they get nailed for edit warning, and they get banned from at least the page, or they'll check them for sock puppets and eliminate them from Wikipedia completely. So I noticed the bias, and it was glaringly obvious, and I just kept following the threads because they were not allowing fair and balanced, accurate, well-sourced information from credible news outlets to be placed into the page so people could decide for themselves and have an accurate depiction of what both sides of the argument are.
Yeah, they're obviously just trying to create their own narrative around this stuff. Like, it's just not being objective at all. This is not surprising to a lot of people that have followed this. There are definitely groups of people who have, for some reason, convinced themselves that everything to do with ufology is bullshit. I don't know how you could come to that conclusion without just being just completely ignorant, honestly, to any kind of it confounds me. It gets to the point, honestly, the mountain of anecdotal evidence supporting the fact there's something metaphysical going on is overwhelming. So to come to that conclusion that it's all bullshit is just beyond delusional. To where it definitely seems like not to say this lightly, some kind of a fucking psyop. Literally, there must be some kind of psychological operation going on that someone's trying to disseminate out to make the general public kind of think that this stuff is bullshit and they shouldn't look into it any further. And from there, then, you would have to have people employed to, facilitate the psyop. So then you would have to have agents out, to try and push these points. And then that's when you get into like calling everybody fucking a disinfo agent or, who disagrees with you. And then that's problematic. But, I don't know who necessarily would be. I don't think some of the big names probably are, like Mick West. I don't think Mick would be. This is a statement from Lou here.
This is a razor that...
Oh my God, bro. We don't care about your fucking race. Let's see what Lou has to say here. I'll just read it. This is more than just an attempt to disparage a few of us working towards disclosure. In fact, it's an assault on the very freedoms of every person who looks to reliable sources for information. When the outlets designed to inform and clarify information become corrupted by a few reckless, agenda-driven zealots, it becomes downright dangerous for all of our freedoms and casts doubt on all forms of media and freedom of the press. We must do a better job at policing ourselves of these types of characters. Remember, there is no greater evil than that which wears the mask of virtue. Yes, and that's usually how evil will present itself, right? Virtue signaling. Yes, Lou, very well said. And that is, in fact, kind of what's going on right now. So, anyway, interesting. These gents, a long conversation. 3 hours they talked on this. Not going to watch all of that. But Mick West is a disgrace to society. Don't know if I'd say that. Again, there's an element involved here with this phenomena, this community, I guess, people, of belief, and I guess there's very strong beliefs, and there is an element of fantasy, and when someone comes in and questions your beliefs, and as someone who has, questioned maybe some very fundamentally religious people on their beliefs, things can get kind of aggressive really quickly. Right? I mean, I think what people coming from this kind of logical perspective, at least they think is logical perspective, they think what they're going to do when they challenge somebody's beliefs is what they think they're going to get to do is think about them. But what happens usually is people aren't like intellectually invested in these things. Like, this isn't a logical thing. They have faith. They believe, right? Like, so if you come in and you try and use logic, they're going to react emotionally to that, and they're going to lash out at you. So, and if you come in, and Mick usually comes into this, I wouldn't, somewhat logical, but definitely very kind of brash and honestly very ignorant. And at times a bit delusional, I would say. And then that definitely inflames all kinds of people. But there are people who just have a hate on for him because he's casting doubt right into their minds. That's important though, right? Because ultimately, in regards to this phenomena, even if we've had eyes on this to some degree, I mean, we have to ask ourselves, how well do we know this? Like, to what degree do we know this is true? And right now, it's not to the degree that I would like it to be, right? I mean, I always argue there's some mountain of anecdotal evidence here suggesting there's clearly something going on, and I know all of the potential somethings, right? But ultimately, we don't know for sure. Even, people who may have had some kind of metaphysical experiences, you don't know for sure. And then you can get into these debates of what do we actually know for sure, and could we all be deceived? Even people say, well, we know mathematical formulas are 100% concrete, 2 + 2 = 4. But it's like, how do we know we aren't just being deceived by some entity, right? Some great deceptor, right? That's making us think these things, and in actual fact, they aren't the case. And then you get into all these crazy philosophical arguments, right, about knowledge and what do we actually know, and then you get driven insane over time, right? But anyway, it's good to have a little bit of doubt. It's good to ground ourselves in regards to this, because there are people who get way out in left field on it, and they start channeling the Pleiadians and start believing they're channeling them, and then other people start believing that they're channeling the Pleiadians. And then they start buying all their crystal water, and then their paychecks are all gone. And, this is a real shit that happens out in the world. And in the community of ufology, it's been a huge problem. Like, not that I've attended fucking all these UFO conferences, but I've watched fucking a lot of them over the years. And it's a problem because that kind of shit doesn't really have a place for it. Yeah, Rabbit, that's kind of what it is. And it doesn't help us get to the truth though, because I think what a lot of people are in this for is we're in for those objective truths. Like, what the fuck is actually going on with this? Is there actually any truth to it? It seems like there is. We have our intuitions based on all this anecdotal evidence. There's something going on here. It looks like there's visitors from other solar systems that have come here, and maybe they're very advanced and they're just kind of beyond our perception. But, it doesn't help when you have people just go full-blown fundamentalist fucking Christian. Like, I just believe and have faith in Pleiadians. It's like, well, that's not a place we really want to be in. And there's a lot of good reasons, and we're like a fucking 150 to 200 years beyond that right now. Like, we've moved on from having those kinds of beliefs, right? Like, we know the consequences of that, and it's not good usually. End up in fucking witch hunts and shit. So anyway, yeah, fuck. Moving on. We'll get back onto this in a minute, I'm sure. This is just a Kim.com. This is just in regards to more World War III stuff. Where was this? Here it is here. And it's important to think. It's important to think critically as well, which is, I think, what I'm always trying to encourage people to do, myself as well, to do always, as someone who at times, I love the fantasy. I'm very transparent with that. I love the Alex Collier lectures, right? I mean, back in the day, man, couple fucking joints, fucking come home, sit down, watch Alex Collier for 3 hours and just think to myself, what if he actually met with them? What if he actually sat down with the Andromedans? That'd be so trippy, right? Hi, I'm new to the stream and excited to see what you're up to. Golden Ginyu, welcome. Are you part of the Ginyu Force? Golden? Welcome. Yes. Yeah. Hey, listen, man or woman. I don't know. You never know now. One or the other, I suppose. Just hanging out here. Just talking about world events and I know Dragon Ball Z. Already know. Ginyu Force. I know. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fanboy here. One of the only animes I know. I get crucified by some of my other friends who are huge weeboos. So, God bless. Thank you for the bits, Golden. Yes, sir. Yes. Talking about many things here this evening. Yeah. Anyway, usually about ufology, but UFOs and stuff and UFO disclosure. I don't know what this is really. I like to think it's kind of a philosophy show. As a philosopher, I just talk about all kinds of different fucking things, but it tends to revolve around UFOs and ufology and metaphysical things, and those things I find interesting, right? I don't really peg myself as a metaphysician per se, but I do love metaphysical woo-woo type stuff. But, right. Oh, man, listen, welcome. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I mean, listen, we're always looking for people of like mind to come and share these thoughts with. I'm always looking for that because I'm genuinely interested in what every single person can bring to this. I mean, we all have it's something that doesn't talk about enough. We all literally have a unique perspective. We're all literally completely unique, which is crazy. We've got how many people on this planet? Like 8 billion now, over 8 billion people who are all in and of themselves literally completely unique in their makeup. And so everybody's eyes on this is important because any person could bring something to this discussion that could shift it. And, I reference this guy all the time, right? But all it takes sometimes is one person to change everybody else's perspective on a phenomena. And this was a guy, Stanton Friedman was his name, for people aren't familiar with him, but he was the kind of godfather of ufology, him and Jacques Vallée. And Stanton was a nuclear physicist who stopped for a moment and said, hold on, what the fuck is going on with this phenomena? And as a scientist, he took this seriously and forever changed a lot of people's perspective on this, and myself included. As a kid, buying a book at a Scholastic book fair when I was 10, 11 years old that he had written or had co-authored at the very least on UFOs and on Roswell, and got me into this topic that I was already kind of interested in thanks to Hollywood. But Stanton was kind of a mentor of mine, and again, someone who just saw something in this and was able to convey it very poetically and very logically, and really sit down with people and just kind of hammer it home to them that this isn't this bullshit. This is objectively, there's something here, right? Unique, like the differences between the same item from IKEA with minor defects. There you go. Well, yeah, we're more similar than different. That's true, Ginyu, but still different, right? And those little differences are enough sometimes to make big differences, right? Like our DNA, for instance, like we're only 1% away from chimps, but that 1% makes all the difference. Although some of us, sometimes I wonder if we're not a couple percent off, right? Some people you encounter in the grocery store and how they fucking act. But anyway, yeah, Stanton was a huge inspiration. Stanton lived very close to me, actually. Stanton lived 25 minutes away from me. And I never fucking went to go meet him. And I tried to when I was in high school, but he ignored all my phone. I got a hold of his landline. I don't know if I ever told anybody this. His wife's still alive. She might fucking remember some high school kid calling his phone like fucking 20 times and leaving 20 messages about how I wanted to interview him for a school project. I looked him up in the phone book. He had his phone number right there, but he didn't take it to the fucking phone book. Anyway, he never answered my phone call, but a shame. Anyway, close. I was going to drive up. Me and the boys were going to fucking drive up, but I thought, you know what? That might be a bad idea. Didn't really want to get arrested at fucking 17 for trying to harass this guy and everything, but maybe that goes back to what you said about our perspectives. Yeah, I think it's healthy, man. Listen, skepticism is healthy to have. There's a healthy level of it, though. The problem is too much skepticism leads to ignorance, and if you become ignorant, then you kind of start to miss little bits and pieces of the narrative. Don't ever be ignorant to mystical experience. Those are wise words from a very wise man, Carl Jung. Because there's too much for any of us to ever know, and if we're ignorant to that, then we're just going to be, walking around in the dark forever, just trying to grasp at things, and we can't quite get them. Like it's good to just temper ourselves, right? Anyway. Yeah, poor Stanton. Rest in pepperoni, Stanton. Yeah. He went in 3 hours or so. I guess this dropped. Oh, shit. Oh, the Snake Bros. Oh, fuck. Probably not, but... Oh, I saw this, man. Oh, this would be a good thing to talk about. I was going to talk about World War III, but that's not very fucking uplifting. So, who are the Snake Bros? I'll tell you who the Snake Bros are, actually. They're these brothers. They're both musicians. And they're interested in alternative ancient history, right? Which is something I'm very passionate about. They're talking about Göbekli Tepe and Easter Island are not what you think. So the Snake Bros host a podcast with a guy named Randall Carlson, who's someone I'm very fond of. Very wise man. He's an architect and a very knowledgeable person when it comes to climate and geology. I think Randall was going... for potentially his PhD in geology. You can get these kinds of accolades from universities, which are these honorary PhDs. Like Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin got an honorary PhD in music because he was so... Look, you can see what I watch. I got Stairway to Heaven and I got Over the Hills and Far Away here. But Jimmy Page... So had that accolade. So I think Randall may be getting his honorary PhD in geology, if I recall from one of their podcasts. But yes, alternative ancient history. Yes, alternative ancient history. I guess Ginyu is just one way of saying that there are different narratives, maybe in some of these ancient sites that aren't the mainstream per se, but still have a lot of evidence behind them. And are well worth further inquiry. Sorry, my dog needs to get inside the bedroom because he's a mama's boy. Go see mama. Come on, pal. There you go. But yes. Göbekli Tepe is kind of one of those little bits and pieces of that alternative ancient history, an alternative narrative to history. Maybe it kind of created a huge problem. What happens in a lot of these different disciplines is that we tend to come to these consensus, and these consensus then kind of create this like rigid structure where it's like, oh, well, we've decided that the Sumerians are the oldest culture and that human, civilization only goes back 6,000 years, and that's it. And, that conclusion wasn't come to like really definitively. That it's very, very loosely, right? But then you'll have other disciplines refuse to acknowledge that potentially a site is older than it is, even though the evidence suggests that it is, because the consensus is things are only 6,000 years old. This is how fucking stupid some people are. And we become hyper disciplined as well, where we hyper specialized, in our disciplines. Too much wine on the brain still. Where we're in these little nooks and crannies of like archaeology, and like only like one guy's here like dealing with like Nordic archaeology, one guy's in like Mesopotamian history, one guy's in like Native American Indian, like in North American Native American Indian archaeology, and like they're not interdisciplinary, really. They're not communicating. And so we have these kinds of farces started up where we think, okay, well, things are only 6,000 years old. Okay, well, here's a piece of evidence here, and it's like there's this pottery and spears found at this line where this is like fucking 9,000 years ago. Like, doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, this is fairly advanced pottery work. Like that, they can't. And they're like, oh well, that can't be that old. It's like, well, why? Well, but the consensus among experts is 6,000 years. It's like, well, when you dig into the consensus, you find that actually the consensus is very loosely based. And it's like, oh my God, are they this fucking stupid? So Göbekli Tepe was a site that upended a lot of that bullshit, where it was definitively buried about 11,000 years ago. And it is a fairly advanced construction. It's a huge complex. And so that pushed back and really, honestly, you're looking at the work of a civilization, although they have not found evidence of the civilization yet. That's pushed back human civilization about 5,000 plus years minimum. So, yeah. Let's watch a little bit of it here, I guess. I think I hate jumping around, but as this is almost 4 hours long, I'll just go through the intro here and let them introduce themselves.
Something here.
Oh my God.
The engineer is just like, you know what this wall needs right here? And there's a matching face, a complex curve of the block.
A twist.
Next to
it's
it.
almost like the face
twisted.
has a twist in it.
You see all the same marks, scoops, right?
It's the same.
But I love this, the idea of the story is like, this is your trench, Johnson. Take your pounding stone. This is where you work.
Yeah.
And so each guy just sits here for his entire life.
Life.
And digs. So I've drawn a line down the corner, and you'll notice that giant block
quite loud.
goes around the corner.
Oh my God. It's like you're showing off.
Then you go in with your magic granite flattening tool, whatever that is, and you remove all that granite. Now you have 4 blocks that go around corners.
I think part of our thing is like we have no idea. Snake Bros. Wait, how do you guys do your intro? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and serpents, angels and demons.
That's right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, angels and demons and monsters and serpents. This is Brothers of the Serpent. We are on the Danny Jones podcast.
This has been a long time coming, fellas.
Yes.
I'm psyched to have you guys in here today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us. Yeah, really glad.
Yeah, and thank you for helping me solve my audio issues just now. We just spent the last 30 minutes talking about audio problems.
Kyle is a wizard.
I love the studio.
Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you, man.
I'm jealous of your wall back there. I want one of those.
The foam blocks?
Yeah.
I got some extras I can give you guys.
Nice. But fly home with this giant bag.
Bro.
So I need you guys to tell me what you guys know. I know you guys have the secrets.
Well, let's see. Should we start with where we come from on this stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, how did you guys start your podcast? Tell me the whole origin of the Snake Bros.
Okay. So the beginning of the investigation into this kind of mystery happened because we actually got into an accident. When was it? Was it 2002?
Yeah, one or two. I think it was 2002.
Yeah. So basically, it was a really, really bad car accident. Before that, we were just rocking and rolling. We were playing music. We were actually the car accident happened because we were coming back from a band practice late at night, and but this guy was drunk and he just came over onto our side of the road, and we had a head-on collision at 60 miles an hour. So it was really bad. It broke my back, did a whole bunch of other damage to me. The cars burned to the ground. Bullets were flying everywhere because we were in Texas and we had ammo in the car.
Lots of ammo.
Yeah, the cops and the fire trucks, they all had to leave, and everybody had to hit the deck because it's like,
amen, brother.
Bullets are flying.
Because the car was on fire?
Yeah, the car started burning, and then the ammo started going off. And
holy shit!
Yeah,
we had all of our guitars and amps in there too, and they burned.
Yep,
it was terrible.
Yeah. So then I spent a long time in the hospital in recovery. And it was one of those deals where they're like, well, you may never walk again, all this kind of stuff, because my spine had basically exploded, my lower back. The L3 vertebrae was a burst fracture into 27 pieces. And Kyle had a bunch of damage too. He was driving. I was in the front passenger seat. So the seatbelt cut me from, my upper right shoulder all the way down to my hip like I had got cut with a sword. So broke my clavicle, ribs, all the way down. So I was really damaged. And then I was in recovery for a long time, hobbling with a cane, couldn't really go anywhere, couldn't really do anything. And after I had read every fiction book I had again and played every video game I had again, I was like, I just want to, I want to read some interesting, mysterious stuff. And I started going online and just looking up, let's check out the pyramids. Let's look at ancient civilizations. I know there's mysteries involved in this. And then I started to understand, holy crap, there is a lot of fascinating stuff that I've never really been aware of just in this stuff. Just the first time I saw the interior diagram of the Great Pyramid, and you understand that most of this huge stone triangle doesn't seem to have anything in it. There's just these passageways and these little rooms, and you're like, they built this entire thing and that's all that's inside there. Maybe there's other stuff, So I started getting interested in that. I started looking at out of place artifacts, just objects that people have claimed to have found or have been found in places where they shouldn't be. Something that might imply transatlantic trade a long time ago. Some people have, coins, very ancient coins in the Americas. So it would be in a time where supposedly nobody was making coins or even using metal. Right, just stuff like that. And then, Kyle and I are hanging out, and I'd start going to him and telling him, dude, have you seen this inside of the pyramid? Have you looked at this?
So Kyle, what happened to you during that accident? How fucked up did you get?
It's
it was mostly
I'm absolutely invested in this. Yeah, I know. I love these guys. I'm a regular to their. It's not concrete. It is the Cosmographia for people that want to look up their other podcasts with Randall Carlson. So they host Randall. It's Randall's podcast, but they're like the hosts. Randall's here as well, but it's called Cosmographia. So it's these two guys, the Snake Bros, and then Randall and his buddy Brad, and sometimes his buddy Mike. So I've watched many, if not almost all, of the episodes of Cosmographia with Randall Carlson that they host. So I am very familiar with them. Yeah.
Flash.
They're great guys.
But I was suffering from a lot of pain. And I was going to all these doctors, had MRIs done, did physical therapy. And I'm trying to, they were trying to figure out, why am I in so much pain?
Did your spine explode too?
No broken bones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you wearing a seatbelt or no?
Yeah.
You were. But you didn't have the seatbelt cut like your brother?
No, well, see, what happened to him is one of the big amplifiers in the back flew up and hit his seat.
Oh.
And it just shoved the whole seat forward.
Introducing Critical Thinking Cards. This deck of cards features 48 of the most common logical fallacies and cognitive biases
we get some philosopher cards here. This is great.
Advertisers and the media use to persuade and manipulate, as well as 3 game cards.
Should pick those up.
Yeah, so he had hit
against the seatbelt.
Yeah, he hit the brakes, and your seatbelt locks. So I'm sitting back with the seatbelt locks, and then this giant speaker stack hits the back of my seat and jams it forward, and the seatbelt was locked. So it just cut me.
Yeah. But basically, it's we're still dealing with all that.
Yeah, I will. Did you? We do need to fix this.
It's
how long did it take you guys to get back on your feet and like start moving around normally?
For me, it was literally like a week, and then I was back at work, and we were working on land development, so it's hard labor outdoors.
But he had long-term tissue damage that no one was really aware of.
That's what I'm saying. Like within a month, I couldn't hardly move.
Yeah.
So
you know how
like,
whiplash will affect you? You'll be like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then 2 or 3 days later, you're like, oh my God, I can't sit
Right.
up. Yeah. So like one of the things that we found out later with him is he had his right foot slammed on the brake when the impact happened. And that jolt went up his leg, hyperextended his knee, hit his hips and twisted it. And that entire twisting motion went all the way up his spine and into his neck and did tissue damage all the way up. You know, it takes a long time to manifest.
It's basically like they call it arthritis, because when you get a severe injury to the spine or to your bones, like just not severe injury so much as like just something real hard on it. Like bull riders get this. They get like an early onset arthritis called traumatic arthritis. That's what I got in the spine.
Right.
But it was almost instantaneous. It begins from that moment. So,
yeah. But I remember, I was
still climb through a pyramid though.
Yeah.
Still climb through a pyramid.
It hurts a little more than it should, but we can still do it. Yeah. I mean, we went, eventually we were going snowboarding again, eventually.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, it's everything is harder.
Yeah.
Right. You're not nearly
don't take as big a chances as before, which is kind of good.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like maybe I shouldn't jump off this cliff.
I probably shouldn't try that jump on my snowboard anymore.
And then you guys get rear-ended on the way to the podcast.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! What are these boys doing?
This is the thing. I'm holding my phone like this. We were looking for a restaurant, and we get rear-ended. It just flies out of my hand and just hits me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, dude, okay.
Yeah.
Even a passenger, you shouldn't be holding your phone in your face.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that person that was
These
behind
fucking
you
boys.
was probably a plant following you, CIA plant, because we got to show everybody. My father-in-law was driving down the beach this
This is
morning,
fucking
right
going on,
5 minutes
huh?
away from here, and he sends me photos of
There's some good little bits and pieces.
Mobile
in here,
Tactical
actually.
Operations Center for the U.S. Space Force.
Let's. I'm curious. I'd hate to jump around. I just want to hear their opinion of Göbekli Tepe.
We were in Turkey in April.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
Oh,
this.
that's where you guys were in Turkey. That's your recent video all about Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah. Yeah, we were actually in the process of working on an Egypt video on the Serapeum, and then we went to Turkey, and we're like, okay, this is all fresh in our heads. Let's make one on Göbekli Tepe right now. So Serapeum got put on hold.
That video was incredible.
Thank you.
That you guys did on Göbekli Tepe.
Thank you.
I loved that. Can you explain for people who don't know, like the origins of Göbekli Tepe? And, obviously there's the theory that it was deliberately buried, but you guys come up with you guys found out. You guys dug very deep.
Yes.
And you found out it's nuanced. It wasn't necessarily just buried all at once. It was like over 1,000 years or more, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so the thing about the deliberate burying is it's very mysterious sounding, and so when you're looking at mysterious stuff or looking for mysterious things, stuff like that can affect the thinking on the entire site, because then you begin to think, well, why would they do this? Like, what would drive them to build something like this and then purposefully bury the whole thing and leave it, So if that didn't happen, then that's very important to know. And the thing is that
we wondered about this for so long.
We
like
talked
when you
about
hear that they intentionally buried this massive site, you're just like, what? Why could that be? And so we were going down these roads of like, what was it? A time capsule? Were they trying to preserve a message for the future?
Yeah.
This became like a
could
common
be a word
idea.
drinker, yeah.
People, because this is what you ask yourself when this
it's
is
like
a
buried
monumental
treasure.
task.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why were they doing it? Were they hiding it? Were they trying to preserve it for the future? All these narratives pop up because of that. And I mean, this goes back to like my earliest interest in the ancient world was looking for arrowheads here. And you start to learn what campsites look like, what human occupation sites look like, in the Neolithic times or whatever, when they were just working with rough stone tools. And you can see what their debitage looks like. And that's when we first walked up to the site of Göbekli Tepe. It was almost instant. I was just like, this is Midden.
Yeah, you can see it in the
What
picture
is Midden?
Midden is basically human occupation layers. They're layers of sediment that are all of the bits and pieces of debris and debitage from normal human activity. Now, obviously, there are walls and structures in there.
This is a funny question because I figured we would talk about this, and it's interesting because Kyle learned about midden, and then Kyle and I would go on arrowhead hunting trips, and we'd be walking, and he'd be like, "Oh, this is midden," and I'd look down, I'm like, "What are you looking at? Like,
it's just dirt.
What is the difference, right?" And eventually, you learn to see it, and it's a lot of times it's a bunch of very similar sized rocks, like that are kind of squarish, you know, and you just sort of recognize it. You're like, this is somebody made this pile of stones, and it's just very old. They weren't carving the rocks or anything like that. It's just that when you bring a bunch of stones in and you make fires with them, they sort of break in regular patterns, and you end up with kind of a gravel, like a cobble-sized gravel.
Okay.
They just look very regular. It doesn't look natural where everything can be just randomly different sizes.
Right.
They're all sort of very similar, like fist-shaped, fist-sized rocks, and you recognize, there's a pile of these, you know, covered in grass, it's very old, and then you start digging in it. And I mean, you don't have to dig very much, and you find specific markers. Like there will be a certain kind of shell. At least in the States, you find this. There will be a certain kind of snail shell, all in the midden.
Yeah, it just depends on the types of materials that they were around.
Yeah.
At the time.
Okay.
Like the dirt, for example, looks a little more sooty. It's like got ash in it. It's got a lot of charcoal. But you know, there's all this stuff that people collected. There are, you know, tiny little broken shards of flint just everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Well, that was the material they were working with. So if you were in a place where they were working with quartz, then you would be finding chunks and little tiny bits of quartz everywhere. If that's the stone they were working with,
or obsidian.
Or obsidian.
Yeah.
So there's another example of we were at a place that we had basically confirmed was an occupation site. We was just like, okay, yes, people were living here. We were finding flint. We were finding all this stuff. We're walking away after about an hour of looking around, and somebody finds a little piece of obsidian.
Tiny,
I'm like, turn around.
Little, yeah.
We're going back. There's an obsidian arrowhead up here.
Yeah.
There's no reason
Somewhere.
for this piece of obsidian flake to be on this hill. It doesn't belong here. It's not from here.
There's no volcanoes anywhere nearby.
Humans brought it here.
Yeah.
Is that
and
where
they
obsidian
made
comes
something
from?
out of it.
It's volcanic. Yeah.
So it's little tiny things like that. And sure enough, we found a work piece of obsidian there.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You found an obsidian arrowhead?
It's not complete. It's a little tiny bird point, like a dart.
And where was this?
I'm not going to tell you about that. What? It was in Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was near
secret spot in Arizona.
Where was that?
We were.
It was near Sedona.
Yeah, Sedona. Yeah.
Okay.
Just
so
outside of Sedona.
when you the first time you pulled up to, so which part of is this Göbekli Tepe the proper where now there's a big dome over the top?
Yeah, this is before the.
It's important to note this site of Göbekli Tepe too. They've only excavated a very small portion of it. There's another site called Karen Tepe over the hill, and a lot of these. There are many more of these sites still under the ground, buried. They've done lidar. Yeah, they have lidared it, and it's a huge complex still buried. It's absolutely massive. So that's kind of what makes this interesting. I don't know if this is an old image or an updated one, but they typically they've got a oh my god, they got a canopy over it typically now.
Okay.
That chamber right there, that's enclosure C.
Yeah, the one in the front there. Yeah.
So
D is the one to the right.
To the right, yeah. So you can see obviously there are rock walls, and a lot of the stones that you're seeing that are just kind of bigger ones are probably broken down rock walls. But when you look closer at that material, you can tell that it's midden. It's like full of little tiny flint flakes from a people who were working flint every day of their lives making tools. There are pieces of grinding stones, which were they were made of basalt. Mm-hmm. Now there's a basalt outcrop within a kilometer of this site. So they were going down to this basalt outcrop, basalt is a volcanic stone as well. And it's a good grinding stone. So they were making grinding stones for grinding whatever, grain, ochre. They ground all kinds of stuff. They ground a massive amount of stuff based on the number of grinding stones found in this place. In fact, the archaeologists were blown away. They were like, why? Like, they even did this pretty cool experiment where they got people to grind on one of these. They made their own grinding stones, just like the ones at Göbekli Tepe, and they would grind for 8 hours in a day to see how much material that they came up with. And it was enough to feed like 5 people.
Really?
One guy. And so
one guy for 8 hours.
Yeah. So based on the amount of grinding stones.
One college kid who's never done it before, grinding for 8 hours can feed 5 people.
So they were just blown away. They're like, there are way too many grinding stones here to support whatever population may have been nearby. So what the hell were they doing? They were manufacturing a lot of stuff, whoever these people were that had the grinding stones. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's connected to who built this place, but there are broken grinding stones all over it, and broken arrowheads, broken flint shards. So people were living and working there all the way up to fairly modern times. I mean, to at least medieval times. And I mean, it's being farmed right now. So technically, they're still there. People never left.
Yeah, see the trees on up in the upper top there? That's an orchard.
Those are olive trees.
Yeah.
So the radiocarbon dating here says it's at least the farthest back it goes is how old again?
It's like, oh man,
God, look at the landscape there. The view there is just unbelievable.
I'm just gonna say roughly 12,000 years old.
Yeah,
roughly 12,000 years old.
Now,
at a bedtime,
they had a lot of difficulty in the
body
dating.
said, "All right, fuck yeah, man. I do."
They already had.
Yeah. I do want to check out. I don't want to spoil any of it though, but I do want to click
well-established,
on. Enough time before
dating
my
of
bedtime.
artifacts by style. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the whole Anatolian area, they have been.
So I had another thing that I was going to open up here just briefly before I click on this part, which is a little link here. So the Rongo tablets of Easter Island. So these are from the people, the native inhabitants of Easter Island. I've covered this stuff here before. These Rongo tablets speak of kind of an apocalypse that happened in the past. They also speak of the gods who were the ones who built the Moai headstones on Easter Island. And it's interesting here that the Rongo tablets, many of them are kept not by the people of Easter Island, which kind of don't really exist anymore, but they're kept in the Vatican archives, the Vatican Museum. So you can't see original Rongo tablets on Easter Island, but they have 3 originals in the Vatican Museum. So kind of to our point a little while ago about potentially who has all the bits and pieces of history pointing towards potentially cyclical cataclysms. And again, the Vatican, right? They have the greatest scholars on earth. They have had for thousands of years now. And they got quite a collection of all of this shit mentioned by ancient cultures from all over the world. You'll have to go there and you have the right to pull it out of its fucking placeholder here, Digi, and look at it up close and personal then. But I did want to click and see what they have to say about Göbekli Tepe and Easter Island. Well, yes, you probably could actually. I wonder if it would be able to. That's kind of trippy.
I wish I'd have
so
thought
this is
to bring
like his
this.
hands down to his side?
Yeah, so see the belt going around down there, and it's got a fox pelt hanging from the belt on the front, and those are his fingers coming around the front there, just above the belt.
He's kind of holding his belly.
They're real thin. They're incredibly thin.
And
right?
you can see the 2 lines going up the center. He's wearing like a jacket type of like
he's got a robe or a jacket on that's got a belt with complicated buckles or something around it and a fox pelt or something hanging from the front, right? This is a very interesting carving. So they are supposed to be anthropomorphic figures. And so
aliens.
Right. It's, yeah, or some kind of strange hominid god, right? Now you want to start thinking about long heads or Anunnaki or something.
Right.
There's 2 of them. in each enclosure, and they're it's like twins or brothers or two different guys standing there in the middle, taller than everything else, sort of surrounded by a council or knowledge in the shape of other T-pillars facing them. But the other weird thing, and this is wild. See if you can. Oh, he's up. Yeah. When you get back there, pull up some pictures of the Moai statues on Easter Island.
Easter Island just got like burned down, right?
Did it?
And a bunch of those heads got like torched.
Oh no.
Yeah. How do you burn stone heads?
It's not. They're not stone. They're what are they, Steve?
They're volcanic ash.
Yeah, they're made of ash.
They look like concrete, but they're
like tuff. Is it volcanic tuff?
I don't know, but
we could find out.
You can burn it.
I thought they were basalt.
So you can see some of these. Yeah, just pull up one of the pictures of where there's a bunch of them in a row.
Jesus Christ,
it may be tough to see on this.
Oh gosh.
They have the hands that come down.
Oh yeah.
The ads zoom bigger than the regular picture.
Can you find out exactly what it's called? These stones are made out of, Steve.
Well, if it's
This
ash,
guy's not.
it might be.
This guy doesn't follow the narrative usually. I don't know if he's listening all the fucking time. I've watched his podcast a couple times. Here we go. Here's.
Oh, looky there.
There, those fingers, dude. Look at that.
Oh yeah, the
Zoom
fingers.
that picture in.
Yeah.
You can see. Look, the hands crossing down. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah. See the fingers?
That is wild.
It's so weird how it's similar. There are other statues in other places that have this same pose. Now, you could argue like this isn't that big of a deal, the pose or whatever, but I do find the long, thin, strange-looking fingers to be sort of... It's just weird that they would come up with that two different things at so
Salad
different
fingers?
places at different times. That's the question. How old are these things? Are some of them very old?
They have no way to carbon date the tough stuff.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, just for a reference point for people watching here, I've gone over this a couple times. Rusty spoons, that's how they carve those fucking things, right? The rusty old spoons. For people that have watched this channel, for everybody hanging around here, I brought up these similar comparisons before. I've messaged the Snake Bros to no avail. I've messaged Randall. Randall kindly got back to me. But I mentioned not just to do with... Göbekli Tepe, but my interest is in Mesopotamian cylinder seals. And one of these seals, actually many of them, depict the gods with proportions very similar to what's depicted on the Moai heads. And we've gone over this before here, and Digi has kindly made comparisons, but you can see here the god here, the shape of his head, the angle of the brow, the nose, the chin, everything is very, very, very similar. I don't know if I have the overlay saved on here, but we did do an overlay. I think you had done that, did you? Where they're very, very close. So, again, not necessarily the hand connection here, but like the facial features, very similar between the Moai heads and what's depicted on some of these Mesopotamian cylinder seals. What does this indicate? What does this imply? I mean, it implies some cross-cultural influence, I think, that the gods that were involved in putting together these Moai heads were probably the same gods that influenced these Mesopotamian cultures, Sumerian, Assyrian cultures. Yeah, and that's, I think, what they kind of mentioned, the Anunnaki, right, is one of the references here to these gods from the Sumerian pantheon. And there's an endless amount of comparisons like this from all over the world, many different cultures that depict these same kinds of features. And we're not talking like just close. We're talking like almost literally identical, like the angle of the brow, nose, chin, face, the shape of the face, etc. I mean, I don't know what discipline, if it's anthropology, if there's someone that deals with this kind of analyzing these kinds of features and kind of go back through, some of these ancient artistic depictions and trying to correlate, across these different cultures. Well, what were they trying to depict? I mean, if you have, I don't know, let's say a couple dozen different cultures that all depict the gods almost identically. What does that imply? Well, that should imply that there's something here worthy of further inquiry at the very least. But I think you could maybe take it a step further and say that potentially we weren't just dealing with metaphysical beings here, right? We may have been dealing with a group of people, right? Right? Some characteristics of these people carried through history, right? So anyway.
And look how deep it is in the sediment.
So deep.
Yeah.
Now you could carbon date that sediment possibly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you get to the bottom and you find a piece of organic material, like a burnt, like say maybe somebody had a campfire nearby,
right,
uphill slightly, and so then when this sort of inundation of soil came in, maybe it pushed some of that charcoal around in the same layers at the base of this.
They've done that on Easter Island, by the way. In some of the carbon dating, they did put the site at, I think it was like 800 AD, maybe something along those lines. But again, that's not an accurate. That's not an accurate number per se. In that, just because they happen to be buried here, right? That this is how old they are. That's kind of is misnomer the right word? Maybe not, but that goes on today, even where we'll find relics like Egyptian relics, and they'll be found with let's say you'll find a bunch of these. Let's use the Coimba artifacts because it's a fun one from Mesoamerica. This little plain-looking things, they could be fish, etc. There's different arguments for what they are, but that they're found in they're found in a basket made out of organic material, and this basket, because it's made out of organic material, can be carbon dated to 800 AD. And so then the official explanation of when these things were made was, well, they're probably made at 800 AD because they were found in a basket then. But that could be again, someone taking these things that we know in our culture from 800 AD, putting them into a basket I made yesterday, civilization ends, another civilization finds them, and they're like, oh, well, we found them in this basket, and we carbon dated that basket to be from the year 2024. So they must be from around that date. It's we have no fucking clue, right? It's literally a guess. That's it. It's not even really, it's kind of an educated guess. But that is baseline, the explanation for a lot of shit you find in archaeology. Unfortunately, when you're getting into dating. And then when you get into scholarly dating, it gets even more whack. It gets even more convoluted. To where you'll have, for instance, in Egyptology, the Great Pyramid of Giza attributed to one pharaoh because of one cartouche or one fucking, hieroglyph / marking inside of the pyramid. And it's again, that's great. How do you carbon date the marking so that we know that it was actually carved back in the day? Oh, well, it looks like it was. It's well, no, but how do we know? And this is, you get into these specifics and these things can't be answered. And then the whole narrative history falls apart real fucking quickly. There's tons of mysteries out there. That doesn't necessarily mean I think everything's some grand conspiracy in the Anunnaki. We're flying around and there's crystal spaceships firing crystal lasers and shit from Atlantis. But it's just, again, indicative of how much we don't know and how much we assume, right? And how much we assert is true, how much we assert is reality, when in actual fact we really don't have a lot of basis for any of those assertions. And again, I think it's kind of similar with the skeptics and the debunkers and that whole phenomena, where I think it's a group of people that just desperately want to ground themselves. They don't like flying around on these kind of ethereal realms, and they like to be grounded, and they'll do anything they can to ground themselves. They feel very uncomfortable when they're not grounded. And so they just like to settle anywhere that's comfortable. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's reality, unfortunately. So anyway, yeah. Fuck, I'll have to check this out too. I'll have to watch the whole thing, Digi. It's 3.5 hours long, but highly recommend Cosmographia. which is a podcast that these guys host with Randall Carlson. They have their own podcast as well. But yeah, they are they're great, and Randall's great too. I'd highly recommend listening to them and Randall. Many great conversations with Randall. Randall's deeply knowledgeable in a lot of things, geometry, astronomy, astrology, like kind of old time like astrology stuff like that. Like kind of the origins of things, origins of rituals that we used to partake in, things like Halloween, Christmas, and different significances, with those astrologically, I guess, stuff like that. It's all very intriguing. He's what's he call himself? A geomythologist or something like that. He's very knowledgeable of this kind of shit. But these guys are great hosts, great co-hosts. But anyway, I think for the time being, for this stream, this impromptu stream on Tuesday, I think I'm probably going to call it there. But everybody, thank you for coming around. For people watching these VODs, again, thank you for watching them. I still see you watching them. There's a good amount of you watching through the whole thing. So Jesus Christ, thank you for coming along for the ride here with everyone. So yeah, until next time, which will be tomorrow night, everybody stay safe. And we'll continue this discussion then, and we'll see everybody then. Peace.